Bonjour. In this part of the Tegrity of Chapter 4, Part 1, I'll be focusing on the Grammar 1 lesson. The lesson looks at IR verbs. IR regular verbs. You've learned already the ER, and you will be learning the RE. This is the IR. There are three types of regular verbs, the ER, the RE, and the IR. Before we begin to conjugate, I'd like to just draw your attention to the sounds of the endings. So the IR sound for je is I. That IS, the S is not pronounced. I. The tu, I. The il, elle, on, it's written ite, but you don't hear the te. It's again I. For the nous, it's ils sont. Vous, issez. And the il, elle, donc au pluriel, is. You do not pronounce the e and t. You do pronounce is. There's that difference between is, I, and is. That difference tells you singular or plural. So, for example, the verb finir. Je finis. Tu finis. Il finit. Nous finissons. Vous finissez. Ils finissent. Je choisis. Tu choisis. Il choisit. Nous choisissons. Vous choisissez. Ils choisissent. Or obéir. J'obéis. Tu obéis. Il obéit. Nous obéissons. Vous obéissez. Ils obéissent. Voilà. You take off the IR from the infinitive to get the root. And then you go through and you plug in ils sont, issez, is. So, for example, we have the verb réfléchir. Je réfléchis. Tu réfléchis. Il réfléchit. Nous réfléchissons. Vous réfléchissez. Ils réfléchissent. Je réussis. To succeed. Je réussis. Tu réussis. Il réussit. Nous réussissons. Vous réussissez. Ils réussissent. Notice that your book has a tutorial, and at this point, I haven't done so yet, but I intend to, you also have a little YouTube video on IR verbs. At this point, I suggest you pause this, you do the tutorial on les verbes clés, you watch the YouTube, and then you do the activities like activity N and activity O. These are kind of first degree activities. They're just asking you to focus on the verb and the conjugation of the verbs themselves. And then you'll hit unpause and you'll continue going with this lesson where I'll talk more about the meanings of the verbs themselves. Okay, now it's the meaning of the verb time. You have obviously verbs that look like English verbs. Choisir, choose. Finir, finish. Obéir, obey. Let's just be careful that we know how to use them correctly. When you're talking about finir, like je finis mon travail, je finis mes devoirs, it's not much different from English. I finish my homework. Je finis mes devoirs. But when you're talking about finishing an activity, so you're saying, I finished working, you're finishing, and then the verb, you finish a verb, not a thing, but a verb, an action, like I finished working, you're going to put de, the preposition de, after whatever you've just finished. Just like in English, we use the ing, I finish working at 8 o'clock. In English, you have a different fixed expression, it's de, and then the infinitive. Je finis de travailler à 20 heures. Je finis de manger et j'arrive is what I would say to someone if I was saying, okay, I'll finish eating and then I'm coming right now. Je finis de réfléchir. I'll, finish doing this. I'll finish thinking about this. Voilà. And notice with obéir, you always have à. If you're talking about obeying someone, you don't obéis ses parents. That's an English way of saying I obey my parents. You obéis à ses parents. To obey, n'est-ce pas? But you don't translate it to, but in the French construction, it is to someone. Obéir à. Obéir aux parents. Or you can obey an inanimate law or rules. Obéir aux règles. Obéir à la loi. This verb plus à is also essential for réussir and réfléchir. Réussir is to succeed. So, j'ai réussi à mes examens. So I passed my tests. That's just a very French way of thinking, isn't it? When you succeed in something, it's that you passed it. The French for them, it's usually, am I going to pass it or not? Their exams and the way they grade each other is much harsher. You don't have this, everyone getting an A or everyone getting a B. You have people happy to get a C in the French system still. So if you have succeeded, you have passed the exam. Est-ce que tu réussis toujours à tes examens? It's also if you have a verb. So, est-ce que tu réussis toujours à bien parler devant la classe? Est-ce que tu réussis toujours à bien écouter les Tegrity? So, you also have this with réfléchir. I may reflect upon, réfléchir is to think, but more in the sense of, not like penser, but more in the sense of to reflect upon or consider. As for example, if you visit an apartment that you're thinking of renting, and you're not sure yet, you'll say to the agent, okay, écoutez, je réfléchis. I'll think it through. Je vais réfléchir à l'offre. I'll think through the offer. Je vais réfléchir à la question. I'll think through the question. Or je vais réfléchir au problème. I'll think through the problem. Il réfléchit. He's thinking it through. He's considering. We also have two important words for everyday economy. Maigrir and grossir. Aren't we always talking about the fact that we're either gaining or losing weight? Il maigrit, yes, he's losing weight. Il grossit, he's gaining weight. Et grandir is to grow up. And salir is to make something dirty. So they give you example. Les êtres humains grossissent s'ils mangent tout le temps. Nous maigrissons si nous faisons du sport. De nos jours, les enfants grandissent dans une société matérialiste. Est-ce que tu réussis toujours à tes examens? Je réfléchis au sujet que le professeur propose pour cette rédaction. So I'm thinking about the topic that the professor is proposing for his essay, or that the professor gave for this essay. So when you're done working through the first degree, can I conjugate, you'll start working through the second degree, can I use it in a context? So here are sentences. This is not assigned, but I think it's a good activity for us to work through. La vie des personnages de liaison. Complétez les phrases avec un verbe qui convient. Sont clairs, blank, au message dans l'enveloppe mystérieuse. Here it's Claire something about the message in the mysterious envelope she received. I would say she's thinking about it. She's wondering about it. Claire réfléchit au message. So she's thinking about the message. What does it mean? She's trying to decrypt it or understand the message that she received. Abia et Claire blank leur journée de travail à l'hôtel à 18 heures. So here are two women. So it's elles au pluriel. Elles finissent leur journée de travail à 18 heures. What about you? À quelle heure est-ce que vous finissez votre journée de travail? Numéro 3. Le chat de Claire blink parce qu'il mange beaucoup. Oh, he's gaining weight because he's eating a lot. Il grossit. Madame Gagné blink parce qu'elle n'aime pas la cuisine de l'hôpital. So, the mother of Claire is in the hospital where they don't have very good food. And so elle maigrit parce qu'elle n'aime pas la cuisine de l'hôpital. La femme de ménage de l'hôtel n'aime pas les clients qui blinquent leur chambre. So, la femme de ménage, the housekeeper, or I would say la gouvernante de l'hôtel, n'aime pas les clients qui salissent leur chambre, n'est-ce pas? Les enfants salissent tout. Children dirty up everything. Les clients salissent leur chambre d'hôtel. Et la femme de ménage, donc, elle fait le ménage. Robert blink toujours avant de parler aux clients de l'hôtel. So, Robert sounds like he's the manager, le directeur de l'hôtel. Il réfléchit toujours avant de parler aux clients. Et vous réfléchissez toujours avant de parler? Here are some questions you can think of answering. À quelle heure est-ce que vous finissez vos cours? Est-ce que vous grossissez quand vous mangez beaucoup? Est-ce que vos colocataires salissent votre appartement? Est-ce que vous réfléchissez avant de parler avec vos profs? Voilà. You have another really good activity. Oh, this one is also one that you can do on the other one that's on the voice board. Where you're asking questions, just the way I did, and answering questions with a partner. And then this one, I don't believe it's assigned, I must be in the blended, I don't believe it's assigned for the online, but this is a fun one to do, just in your mind. Think about people you know. Trouver, so find someone that you know who finit toujours ses devoirs avant le cours. Do you know someone who's always finishing their homework before class? Do you know someone qui n'obéit pas toujours à la loi? Est-ce que vous connaissez quelqu'un qui choisit de prendre l'autobus? Vous connaissez quelqu'un qui réussit à tous ses cours? Vous connaissez quelqu'un qui maigrit à cause du stress? Connaissez-vous quelqu'un qui grossit pendant les vacances? Est-ce que vous pouvez trouver quelqu'un dans votre vie qui réfléchit souvent à son avenir? Connaissez-vous quelqu'un qui ne réussit pas toujours aux examens? Voilà. It says you think of people you know, and then you write out with the new verbs and the new expressions that you'll learn them, and you'll actually absorb them. People learn language better when they're actually using it in a way that immerses them into their own memories and their own lives. It's if it means something to you, if it allows you to now describe your life, but with a different language, which makes it kind of fun, that you'll keep it. So keep applying. Either, go the distance, do the activities with a friend on voice board, or in a very proactive way, practice the questions out loud and answering out loud or out in writing. And believe me, it will feel more comfortable as you begin to work it in this way, in a very active way. Well, congratulations on learning to use these new verbs. You're on your way. I'll see you for the next and last Tegrity for part 1 in a couple of days. I'm going to be monitoring how you're doing. I'll be monitoring the discussion board. And my last Tegrity will be the Tegrity where I work on the writing activities that are in part 1, descriptions, and I work on some kind of out of the liaison Blackboard environment into the real French-speaking internet world searches, and it'll be the kind of conclusion Tegrity for this week. Please email any questions, or actually no, don't email. Put them on the course messenger of Blackboard, or put them directly into the discussion board so that everyone can benefit from my answering. Voilà, bon travail!